Todoroki's quirk is one of the strongest quirks in My Hero Academia, and it's a good combination, using the ice to cool down the fire, and the fire to heat up the ice. And as you know, I like giving Izuku multiple quirks. And I just came up with the idea to give Izuku a half lightning, half metal quirk. In the video, what if Deku had the half lightning, half metal quirk? And this is one of the best stories I've ever written, with some very interesting elements to his powers. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. With that said, sit back and enjoy. Okay, so before we begin the story, let me give you some information about Izuku. In this what if, he's going to be born in a poor family, kind of, where his dad has a lightning quirk and Inko has the same quirk that she did in canon. And he would have actually grown up very normally. Somewhat like the original, but he would have been way more like of a calm person and way more controlled, I guess you could say. He's not gonna be a crybaby in this timeline. And he's like very like calm, a very calm kid, and he's like outgoing, unlike Izuku in the original. He's like very outgoing and has many friends. And so when he turns 4 years old, his mom gets him to the quirk doctor, and the quirk doctor tells him that he has a very special quirk. And Izuku finds out that he has the ability to, like, he has the quirk of half lightning, half metal, which makes him be able to control lightning and metal at will, basically. And bro, this is fucking straight peak. It's literally one of the best combinations of powers you could have ever given to anyone. Cause like, think of it, bro, metals and lightning, or like electricity, he's gonna be very broken. And so Izuku, after like he learns that he has one of the best quirks that he could have ever gotten, he aspires to be like All Might, like save everyone, basically. Now let's skip to 6-year-old Izuku, where at midnight he wakes up to go and drink some water, when he hears his parents in the kitchen, like discussing that they don't really have money to pay the electricity bill because they've been like spoiling Izuku. He's been going to the movies like 2 times a month. He gets like every toy he wants, and like obviously like other shit that everything he wants to do, basically they do, is what I'm trying to say. And after he hears that, he sneakily sneaks out of there because he doesn't want to be heard by his parents, and so he goes back to sleep without drinking the water that he went down to drink, obviously. And the next day he goes up to his mom and tells her that he could maybe use his quirk to generate electricity so that they didn't have to keep paying for the electricity bill, or they didn't have to pay the electricity bill anymore. And so when Izuku's dad arrives home, he tells that to his dad, and his dad decides to, let's try it at least. And so the next day, Izuku's dad goes and buys a huge ass battery because they are in a futuristic world, or like more of a futuristic world than ours. And so I would say they would have been able to fucking buy a huge ass battery, okay? And from now on, Izuku will be trying to like generate electricity for the battery, so that they don't have to really pay any kind of money to the electricity company. And the battery that Izuku's dad bought is able to like hold up to like a year of their like average electricity usage. And so Izuku like tries to use his ability to generate electricity, and they found out that every like 2 days he can generate like 1% of the battery's capacity, because like he can generate one day 1%, and the other day he has to like rest, because that's almost like 100% of his output right now. And in the days where he's not actually like trying to charge up the battery, because he can continuously like charge the battery, but he can't like instantly charge the battery with that 1% that he can generate, okay? So it takes him like an hour and a half, let's say, to like fill up 1% of the battery. And so yeah, after that he's like completely exhausted, and the next day he obviously has to like rest. And so what he does is like eat, sleep as well. Like he sleeps way more than usual, because he needs that because his body just used a lot of energy using the electricity power or the electricity quirk that he has. And after that he just goes out and plays with his friends for the most of the day. And then next day he like generates the power for the battery and so on and so forth. Now we skip to 2 years later where Izuku is 8 years old. And Izuku's electricity output has increased significantly to 3 times what it was 2 years ago when he was 6. And so every day or every other day he's able to generate 3% of the battery's capacity. Or if he wanted, he could have actually just generated that the same amount that he would have if he did it 3% every other day, if he just did 1.5% every day, basically. Because he's I guess, it would be kind of worse to generate 1.5% per day, because it would just use a little bit more of energy for him to do that. And so he decides to just do every other day, to generate the electricity every other day, basically. Now, a year later, Izuku just learned a bit about magnetism in school, and about electromagnetism as well. And Izuku remembers that his dad has an electricity quirk, similar to his, and he realizes that he has a metal quirk as well, because he remembers that his dad told him that using copper, it makes his quirk way stronger, because copper is a good conductor of electricity. And so he uses his metal quirk to generate 10 cubic centimeters of copper cube, I guess. And then he goes up to his dad and shows him. And his dad is very excited, because now they will be able to sell those cubes of metal and sell them to get some extra money. And Izuku is able to generate about 30 cubic centimeters of that. And so they're making about $250 or 36,375 yen per day now, because of Izuku's quirk. Let's just say 40,000, okay? I don't give a fuck anymore. I tried saying the exact number, but it just didn't fucking work. Or I guess I did make it work, but not really. It took me 5 times to say it. So, anyways. For the next 4 years, Izuku has been training his quirk at a trashed beach, Dagobah Beach. I don't remember the name, but it's the exact same beach where Izuku and All Might have been training in the original for Izuku to get One for All. And because he found out that it originally looked very majestic and very beautiful, after a year of training there, he has been able to clean it completely. And after that, he just got some weights to do some body weight exercises with extra weights, obviously. Somewhat like Goku and Rock Lee, I guess. And he was able to clear the beach of all the trash, because he used both of his quirks, or both of his half quirks, to train them, obviously, and also clean the beach by just creating electromagnets with both of his quirks combined. Now, what he is able to do is transform himself into metal, kind of like Gagio from Fairy Tail. That was kind of the inspiration for the art. That was a part of the inspiration of the art that I asked Toby to do. So if you enjoy or like the art, then just click the link in the description. I have linked him. He's also right here. And so yeah, the inspiration for the Izuku was Kaminari a little bit, and also Gagio. So he's able to transform into metals. Also shape his body kind of like Kevin or Gagio into weapons. And also, as you've seen, he's able to separate that metal and generate metal for him to use as weapons. And he also gets regeneration because of the metal, because he's able to generate limitless amounts of it, I guess. Not at once, obviously, but he has a limit, but he's able to generate almost limitless amounts of it. So he can generate himself, and it's not like Todoroki where one half controls that and the other half controls that. It's just that he has kind of 2 quirks at once. But because the video is called half, let's just say it's half, okay? It's half of his quirk is metal manipulation and metal like creation and transforming into metal, and the other half is electricity manipulation and maybe electricity, like transform into electricity and generation. Obviously, maybe I don't know if I'm gonna give that to him later. Maybe I do it at like the end, but I do not think so. I don't want to give him two transforming abilities. So how has he been able to like control his quirks and like train them, as well as clear the beach? Now he's obviously, as I told you earlier, been able to transform himself into iron or like another metal that is able to become a magnet, and has been channeling electricity from his body towards like his whole body, or like inside his whole body, and making himself an electromagnetic magnet, or an electromagnet. I don't know exactly what it's called. I don't remember. And so after he like does that and like magnetizes the scraps that are able to be magnetized, obviously, and moves them and everything else, he either just like zaps it so that it fucking burns, or he like just lifts up with his body, because he gets strength increase when he's like fully metal. And he's also like been training his quirk by turning his whole body into copper and just channeling the electricity through his body, which strains a little bit of his body, but also increases the output of his electricity, because his body can handle way more. He also trained his metal quirk by just damaging himself and regenerating, making the metals that he can produce like harder, more durable, I guess, than the original ones, where he was either be able to generate, or the original ones like the ones that exist on Earth, or like in the My Hero Academia verse. Now, another technique that he has been able to create and somewhat a little bit master, I guess, like a little bit, he's not perfect at it, is just like separating or like generating some metals, like iron most of the time, and magnetizing them, like the metal that he generated and himself, so that he can like shoot them and like control them somewhat telepathically, or like telekinesis for metals, I guess. And he has to use like magnetism to control that separated part, because it's not part of his body anymore, and he's not able to control it like he is able to control his body with his quirk. Now, a 14-year-old Izuku is training in the beach, or at the beach, when he realizes that it's almost midnight, and he transforms himself into thunder and flies towards his home, of which, fuck, I forgot that I was gonna do that. Let's say he can somewhat transform himself. He's not able to completely transform himself into thunder and fly. He is able to like, fuck it, I'm gonna delete that shit, just forget I said that. Let's say he's able to like propel himself with thunder, okay? Because I genuinely forgot I wrote that in the script, because this video is scripted somewhat. So yeah, he's able to propel himself with lightning, kind of like Bakugo does in My Hero Academia, where he like makes explosions and flies. Think of Izuku being able to do that, because I fucking forgot I fucking put that in, because I really thought I wouldn't do that. But when he arrives, he immediately goes to bed and sleeps, because he's like fucking tired. Now, the next day he goes to school, and the teacher does the same thing that he does in the original, where he tells them that he was about to give them application papers. But he knows that everyone wants to become heroes, and everyone starts cheering up, screaming, using their quirks. But Izuku is like just sitting there and stands up and tells everyone, you can chill out please, we don't want to destroy the school. And everyone like chills the fuck out, because Izuku is kind of the big boss of the fucking school, really. Not in a way of like he controls everyone because he's the strongest, even though he kind of is in the school, or like he's bullying people to respecting him. He's more like the strong guy who everyone respects, because he's just such a cool guy. And he's like, as I said, outgoing and very calm. In this timeline, because the teacher did say also that Izuku and Bakugo want to go to UA, Bakugo does not react negatively like he did in the original, because he very much respects Izuku because of his strength, and because Bakugo has been helped by Izuku, like training and some other things. Now, after school, when the class ends, Izuku walks up to Bakugo and tells him, "Yo, Bakugo, what's up?" And he asks Bakugo if he would like to go to the movies with him, to watch a new horror movie that everyone has been hyping up. And Bakugo tells him that he has some things to do, or he had some things to do, like training. But a little movie won't hurt. Now, they go and watch the movie, and Izuku finds it a bit better than the trashy movies that he has seen. It's not perfect though. And so the next day of middle school, like Izuku goes to middle school, or like he goes to school, and right after the school ends, or the school day ends, Izuku is going to walk out a bridge. And when suddenly the Sludge villain pops out of the sewers, and he says, "Give me your body, kid. I didn't know that freak was in town." Talking about All Might. And Izuku asks him, "What do you mean that freak was in town? Or that freak is in town?" And the Sludge villain tells him All Might. And Izuku gets like a bit mad at the fucking Sludge villain. "What the fuck do you mean? The All Might is a freak. You're the fucking freak here, you slimy bastard." And Izuku like tries to zap him with like a giant amount of electricity, or like high voltage electricity. But it doesn't really do anything to the Sludge villain, because he has some kind of durability, some kind of like nullification to electricity and like elemental attacks. And after Izuku realizes that, it's like a bit too late, and the Sludge villain jumps over to Izuku's body when Izuku turns his whole self into metal, and or like copper actually. He turns himself into copper, and then just generates all the electricity he can right now through his whole body and expelling it out with max force. And now this attack was able to damage the Sludge villain severely, to the point where he's not really able to move right now, because he has been kind of paralyzed, somewhat like a Pokemon. And because Izuku put his body through huge amounts of strain, he passes out. And right before he hits his head to the floor, All Might pops out of the sewers and like rushes towards Izuku before he falls, and asks him before he completely passes out. He's like half passed out right now. "Did you do this, kid?" And Izuku answers him, "Yeah, that was me. I paralyzed him, I think." And then slowly passes out. Now, when Izuku wakes up, it's the next day, and he sees his mom right next to him, on his bedside, in the hospital. And like Izuku is discharged immediately, because he did get some damage, but it wasn't that much. They did everything that they could to like help him, but he seems to like naturally regenerate faster than most people. And literally almost every kinds of damage that bro got was like self-inflicted damage. So afterwards he goes back to school, and Bakugo asks him, "Are you good, man?" And Izuku answers him, "Yeah, it's fine, I don't want to talk about it." And Bakugo asks Izuku if after school he would want to train with him, like sparring matches and everything. And for the 10 remaining months, and for the remaining 10 months, and for the 10 months that they have until the UA entrance exam, Izuku and Bakugo will be training together. Izuku answers Bakugo, "Sure, I don't see why not." And Bakugo is like very happy in the inside, but he doesn't want to show it. He's like a little kid right now. And so after school, Izuku recommends Bakugo for them to mostly train at the beach where he's been training for the like last 4 years or something, because there is a lot of space that no one really cares about, and so they can go there and fight all they want. And so Bakugo is like hyped as fuck because he's gonna fight Izuku for the first time, I would say. Yeah, they haven't really fought since like Bakugo respected Izuku since day one. And yeah, they start fighting. Now, I'm gonna explain one of the fights obviously because we need content, okay? We need some good content. But this is basically what they're going to be doing for the next 10 months, as well as going to the gym. Now, let's start the fight. Izuku goes in for a punch, while Bakugo tries to dodge it with his explosions like he does in the anime, where he just explodes, makes an explosion to like his right side, and evades the attack of Izuku. Now, Izuku realizes that because he has like heightened senses because electricity, and immediately like curves the punch towards Bakugo, but he is able to dodge that as well. somehow like barely dodged that shit. It literally barely didn't hit him. And so they start like actually fighting this time. Bakugo decides to not hold back at all, and so does Izuku. And so Izuku transforms himself into like iron, complete iron, to magnetize himself with Bakugo's belt. Okay, he's gotta pull Bakugo in via his belt, and so he magnetizes Bakugo's belt via like sending some giant amounts of electricity in his belt that he like is able to control, so that Bakugo doesn't get fried by the electricity. And he magnetizes Bakugo towards himself, and like straight up punches him with a metal fist. And Bakugo can't really avoid that, since he hasn't really been trained to fucking dodge like fucking fast punches like made out of metal. And so Bakugo is literally knocked out. And after like an hour and a half of Izuku waiting for Bakugo to wake up, he does. Because I believe like Bakugo has higher durability because of his quirk. Because he, in a way, he's able to like handle huge amount of explosions just like that. So he's gonna be able to handle a fucking punch to the head, okay? Although Izuku kind of went a bit easy on Bakugo because he knows Bakugo is not that strong. So yeah, that's like one of the fights, I guess, or one of the ways that this fight could go. And if you wanna like think of other fights, I'm probably gonna do some later. But yeah, that's literally just 10 months of training. Now the 10 months of training are over, and Izuku flies with his lightning flight that I just fucking fixed because I forgot I put that in, and goes towards Yui. And he aces the written portion of the exam. And then he goes for the practical exam, where he goes into the room where I said where like 15 times, I should stop. And where President Mike explains the test. And after that, like nothing really happens because Izuku doesn't rumble or like mumble, and Ida doesn't call him out for that. And so he goes out towards the area where he's gonna do the practical exam. When Izuku hears President Mike saying, "Go, go, go!" And everyone like starts running, but like Izuku flies over everyone with his lightning flight, trying to not fucking hit them, because it's kind of like leaking a little bit, you could say, and like going towards the students towards the ground. And Izuku is trying to control it a little bit by transforming his hands to like copper so that he can absorb some of it. But like some people are gonna get hurt while Izuku is flying. And so now Izuku decides to try some new kind of flight that he has been practicing a little bit using his electromagnetism. And because for him to use that flight, he needs some kind of repellent or some kind of metal that he can repel himself. What's the opposite of towards? Yeah. He just generates like a little bit of metal, or like let's say like 20 cubic centimeters of like iron, and then just magnetizes them real quick with the same pole of himself being a magnet and the little piece of metal being a magnet, and then just repels himself from that magnet, and he like somewhat is flying, or like I guess it's kind of like jumping, I guess. Kinda, I don't know. And now Izuku like finds some robots, and he has actually two ways that he wants to use to destroy those robots. One of them is just magnetizing himself and just destroying their circuits because of the magnetism. I don't really remember how this works and why you shouldn't have like a magnet like near your phone or near any kind of electrical device or electronic device. I don't know. But like it destroys the robots and everything else basically. And so he magnetizes himself with like a big amount of electricity inside of the magnet that's called Izuku, and the robot is destroyed because like it can't work anymore. And the other way that he has found out that he can actually like destroy those robots is to fry their circuits with giant amounts of electricity that they cannot handle. And he knows that those robots are like built different, okay? So he has to actually put a giant amount of electricity inside of the robots for them to actually like get destroyed or like not work. because like UA has money, they're not gonna put some cheap like circuits inside of the robot. So he's only going to be using that when he actually finds a good robot, like a 3-pointer or a 2, like only a 3-pointer really, because to 1-pointer is like a bit useless, he thinks. And he racks up like a modest amount of points. I would say somewhat near the original Bakugo's points, like 80 points by now, because he could like physically just destroy them with like punching, but that's a bit boring, he thinks. And he actually like wants to not get all the points because he wants other people to pass as well. He's like a kind guy, as you have realized by now. And Bakugo in this timeline, I would say he's like 50% stronger than he was in the original, which means really that he's gonna get honestly he should have gotten like 50% more points really, but let's just say that Bakugo gotten like a bit more kinder, because he's been hanging out with Izuku and he's not really a bully, and he's going to, let's say, just get 70 points. So yeah, Izuku is kinder and more outgoing, and Bakugo is more calm and kinder, I guess you could say. And I'm very sorry for the inconsistent audio or like audio levels, because I really have to fucking get used to this mic, and literally any mic, because I'm just moving my head like a lot and just the sound just sounds like a bit wonky at times. But yeah, anyways, now at like 3 minutes or 2 minutes before the test or the exam finishes, Izuku hears some giant or like enormous vibrations, or he doesn't hear them, he feels some giant and enormous vibrations, and he immediately realizes that it's the 0-pointer, and he flies towards it. He sees that it's moving towards the other contestants, and he like doesn't want it to hurt anyone, so he flies over it or like towards it even faster. When he sees a girl trapped under some rubble, and that the 0-pointer is moving towards her, or about to hit her, or like about to stomp on her or her. He is about to stomp her, okay? And so he flies over to her, makes the metal parts of the rubble like magnetic, and moves them away from her, and then picks her up and then moves her towards a safe place. And he looks back at the 0-pointer and says, "This is going to be fun." And he proceeds to fly towards the 0-pointer, going on top of it and magnetizing himself to the 0-pointer, destroying it with max output electricity and magnetism, destroying it in 2 seconds. Now, this is gonna be the end of part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. And if you have any what if ideas, write them down in the comments. And check out every link in my description. Everyone there is goated. Especially Toby. And for the rest of the series, you'll have to wait like quite a bit, because I wanna finish the movie and I have not scripted shit past this point. So anyways, with that said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, Just who I am, out.